How many of you didn't know that there was a name for when you're pretending to listen? I'm guilty of that. Up until taking this class, I had no idea about pseudo-listening. For those of you that don't know, pseudo-listening is when you nod or smile and pretend to know what someone is talking about. The correct definition of pseudo-listening is a type of non-listening that consists of appearing attentive in a conversation while actually ignoring or only partially listening to the other speaker. I do this all the time, whether it's in my math class, psychology class, or when my mom is giving me orders. For example, just the other day, I get a phone call. It was my mom. So for those of you who have never met my mother, she will call you just to remind you to do your chores and who knows what else. And after she hangs up, she will call you again like 2 seconds later to repeat exactly what she just told you, just in case you forgot. Well, my mom calls me the other day to give me, orders. And I think she said something about cleaning the bathroom, sweeping, mopping. I totally tuned her out. And I began saying, yeah, okay. And she went on and on for a few minutes. And apparently it turned out that when she got home, I got yelled at because I was supposed to boil potatoes and some hot peppers in the water to prepare for dinner. Oops. So as soon as I was talking to my mom on the phone, I was appearing attentive in our conversation, but in reality, I was actually ignoring everything that she was telling me. I really have to get rid of this bad habit because it might get in the way of my education and it can hinder my future. I started doing research on ways to prevent pseudo-listening. In order to change this bad habit, I have to learn to truly listen. Listen to understand, listen to enjoy, and to be entertained. A helpful way of reducing pseudo-listening is to begin to listen to people that you don't often listen to. Beginning with family at home. For instance, your mom, your dad, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, roommates, coworkers, or teachers. If you're having trouble dealing with pseudo-listening, another strategy that you can use to help you overcome this bad habit is to ask yourself, what is it that makes me want to listen? And what is it that makes me want to not listen? To improve your listening skills, it is smart to pay proper attention to what the speaker wants to convey. Free your mind from all other things and concentrate only on what the speaker wants to say. So in my opinion, the best way to stop pseudo-listening is to become a real listener and really truly listen to what somebody has to say. Another poor listening habit that occurs is selective listening. I am also guilty of this habit. For example, let me tell you about a class that I took last semester. I took oceanography, and I completely disliked the subject. So I spaced out and decided to listen only on specific points or parts of the subject. Of the subject that seemed interesting to me. When the subject became very technical, I would lose complete interest when the professor spoke about the depth, salinity of the ocean, and all these other things he spoke about, which I really don't understand, and I cannot tell you because I really can't remember because I wasn't paying attention. So ask me how I passed the class. I don't know, but I passed with an A. So I am also guilty of defensive listening. When me and my sister discuss a certain topic that I am completely passionate about, I take offense in the comments that my sister makes, and I prepare a comeback speech in my head to defend myself. Disruptive listening occurs a lot between me and my fiance when deciding on how to raise our son in specific. For instance, I try to teach my son to self-soothe, but my fiance runs to our son and picks him up as soon as he believes that he will begin to cry. He won't even start crying. But when he tries to tell me his reasons on why he does that, I cut him off and I absolutely disagree with him because I know best. But for next time, I will let him finish speaking out his thoughts rather than cutting him off. I wasn't aware of these types of listening habits that I have been using my entire life until I came across this class. Now I am attentive on my listening and speaking habits, and I try to avoid all of the poor listening habits. There is a stance that some of you may find useful when listening to someone. It's called the solar stance, which is a body posture that can trick the mind into actually listening and paying attention to somebody who is speaking. The S in solar stance stands for square, the O stands for open, the L stands for leaning in, and the E stands for eye contact. The R stands for relax. So this stance gives off the impression that you are paying attention to them and it makes you look more interested. Therefore, it will lead you to actually pay attention because the stance is useful, like I said before, and it sort of tricks the mind into actually listening to someone. Listening is the most important skill that anybody can have in order to give our audience and our speaker our full attention. We have an informative speech coming up for those of you who don't know, which I hope you do. But I found a video provided by our professor, very useful, and it may come in handy to you and for myself for when we all prepare for our informative speeches. If you're having trouble deciding on how to begin your informative speech, the first thing that you should know is that you should start with yourself. Ask yourself if you are currently involved in anything interesting, or if there is something in a class that you're learning about and that you want to learn more about and that you want the students or your classmates to learn. That way you can teach it to us. You can educate yourself more on what you want to learn, and that way you can inform us on it. You can also think about your audience. Remember that every speech is for your audience and not for you. So always keep your audience in mind, because always think, what will your audience find interesting about this speech, or how can your speech benefit them? When delivering an informative speech, it is important that you are specific. That way you don't bore or confuse your audience. To be honest, I am terrified of doing this informative speech. I'm freaking out right now as I'm recording myself by myself. And I can't imagine how I'm going to do this in front of 5 people. And I'm really dreading this upcoming speech. But at the end of the day, it's for my own benefit, and maybe this will help me overcome my fear and anxiety. I want to be able to stand in front of a crowd and speak without stuttering or getting nervous, and I hope to achieve this at the end of the semester. But I guess practice makes perfect. Always keep in mind the poor listening habits: pseudo-listening, selective listening, superficial listening, defensive listening, and disruptive listening, and try your best to avoid them. Thank you all for your time, and I hope you found my thoughts useful.